Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be doing a review on these eBay generic made in Pakistan boxing gloves. So stay tuned. Okay, so before we do the close-up weigh-in and review on these eBay made in Pakistan boxing gloves, I'll show you guys the process I went through to purchase them. I go on eBay occasionally to check to see if there's any good deals or a rare item. Sometimes you get lucky and you can score a really rare pair of boxing gloves like Flores or Chevron, or some of the rare Mexican brands like Sayer, some of the discontinued models. So you get lucky every now and then. You also sometimes can find a really good deal on a high-end pair of gloves. You might find a pair of Winnings that are authentic, that are a pretty good price, and so forth. But the way I went about getting these gloves, I just typed in Grant boxing gloves in the search engine, and of course it just pulls up all kinds of different boxing gloves. The vast majority are made in Pakistan lookalikes. So you scroll down and you just see a plethora of different gloves. Obviously you have some authentic stuff mixed in there, like these flies. It just depends on the keywords and tags that they use when they created the ad. You have some old school Grant gloves back in the day, Savas, some authentic Grants, fake Winnings, more of the old school Grants. So you just have a bunch of different gloves. Now you're moving down, you can see they have some generic Pakistan gloves, prize ring. So I scrolled down and then I chose to go with this brand. It says new custom made boxing gloves, any regular brand, logo, or name inspired by Grant. From Pakistan. They're $70 plus about $20 shipping and a little bit of tax. I think they were like $94 shipped to my door via DHL. Took about a week and a half. But the reason I went with this particular brand is the picture. Thumbnail kind of captured my attention because it kind of reminded me of fly boxing gloves. They're super lace. And the fact that they copied that X pattern. Now, granted, the flies, the X stitching on the back goes on the entire flat cuff, not just the upper portion. But in any case, I thought they looked pretty similar. Obviously, they're not going to be exactly like fly, but it looks like a glove that they tried to emulate and make their own version of. So I went on here. The seller info is Scottish_Greatman with 7 reviews or feedback. You have a choice between 10 to 16 ounces right there, customized as well. You scroll down to the description and it says new custom Mexican style boxing glove, any regular logo or name, made with 100% cowskin leather and available in colors and styles. So when I purchased these, he actually messaged me and asked if I wanted the gloves to look exactly in the photo. And what that basically is saying to me is that they just make all kinds of different generic boxing gloves. That he could just make one that looks completely different than the one I'm selecting in the photo. But I said no, I wanted to go with the ones that look exactly like that in photo. That way at least I can compare them. So I purchased them again. It took about a week and a half to come in the mail. So there's a photo of the actual glove. This is the one that came in. Obviously we'll do a little bit more of a close-up of it. And it looks pretty close to it. And you guys will get a better idea of these gloves here in a second. But again, $94 in some change. I'll decide, let you guys know whether or not I think it's worth that cost here in a second. So let's do the close-up. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a close-up here. These are 100% genuine leather, made in Pakistan. 14-ounce lace-ups, obviously. And compared to the photos on eBay, they look pretty similar, but not exactly the same in my opinion. They kind of resemble more of those standard generic eBay gloves rather than fly. Like in the photo, you see it on there, it looks like it has more of the proportions of a fly super lace glove. In this case, they don't look like them really at all. Obviously the colors are the same, which I'm happy about, the white and the gold. And then they do have that partial X stitching pattern on the back. It doesn't go the full length like a fly glove does, but you can see that they emulated that. Leather on here is actually pretty solid, so I'll give them that. You have double stitching. Stitching could be better in certain areas. You can see there that it's kind of pulling through on the leather. The grip bar is not all the way through, which they put more at the very end. ventilated holes on the fingertip as well as the thumb. And you can see the stitching on the palm is decent. Nice tricot liner, which I like. So that's really nice and comfortable. You have about a 1/2 inch of padding. That's about medium to firm density on the back of the wrist. About 1/4 inch of padding on the inside of the wrist right here that comes up. And this one comes up to where this stitching cuts across. Rotating it over to the back. Again, you can see that the leather is pretty nice quality. And it has a kind of a matte finish to it. It's not super shiny. They use a multi-layer foam padding that I would say is a little bit more on the firm side. Not soft, not super soft. It's not rock solid, but it's definitely on the firm side. So it's definitely a little bit more on the protective side. Good for sparring. I have some dirt and scuffs from using the gloves. And then lastly is gonna be this gold tin foil type material. It's not leather obviously, or synthetic leather. And honestly, I thought these would actually come with a leather, metallic leather gold rather than this. So I was kind of disappointed because it just feels cheap, and you can see it has kind of almost like a plasticky feel to it. And I could definitely foresee that, especially with all of my sweating, will eat away at this metallic pretty easily in this foil material. And it also came with this big gash in it right there. So I wasn't really a big fan of the quality control of that big gash, and it also had this big, kind of the stain right there on the thumb. The back of the wrist has that X pattern. Stitching could definitely be a little bit straighter, a little crooked on certain spots. Not a huge deal. And the outside edge there where the thumb meets the index finger, you have a little bit of thread that's popping out right there. So the gloves have more of like a bulb kind of shape to it. Again, like a generic eBay glove. You know, not bad by any means, but not great as well. Just kind of right in the middle of the road. And again, another piece of stitching coming out on this glove. So these are supposed to be 14 ounce. Let's see if these are close to being at weight. Hold my breath, but we'll see. So the right glove is right at 14.3, not bad. Just 0.3 over. And the left glove is right at 13.9. So they're actually 14 ounces. So that's great. I mean, they're both pretty much close to weight for a training glove. That's better than some brand name gloves that go, brand name gloves out there in terms of being accurate with their weight. So let's go ahead and do the review. Hey, what's up guys? Carlo here, and today I'm doing a review on these eBay generic Pakistan made boxing gloves. I got mine in white and gold, 14 ounce lace-ups. The seller on eBay goes by Scottish_Greatman, for those of you that are maybe interested in looking at these gloves. And what basically happened is I occasionally go on eBay looking for deals. Sometimes you get lucky and you might score a good deal on some really nice high-end gloves like some Winnings or Flies or Grants for a pretty good price. And then sometimes you run into a pretty rare pair of gloves. You might find a pair of like Flores, Sayer gloves, some of the old school style Everlast gloves. You just never know when you go on there. There's all types of different things you can find on eBay. So, I kind of peek my head in there every now and then and take a look. But anytime you type in any of like the major brand names like Grant boxing gloves or Winning boxing gloves, the search engine will pop up a plethora of Pakistan-made clones. And you also have some of the genuine stuff mixed in there, like Winning and some authentic Grant, although there's very few of those. You'll occasionally see Fly and some other gloves like Rival, some of the high-end stuff. But the vast majority of it is going to be all of these Pakistan-made generic gloves where they basically say, hey, you can pick your own color, your own logo, whatever you want to do, we can do it for you. Just let us know, we'll do it. So I was scrolling down and I was looking through them, it's all pretty much the same, different colors, nothing special. And then I saw the thumbnail of these gloves, which kind of caught my eye because they really resembled the Fly Super Lace gloves. Now I know my expectations weren't very high at all. I didn't expect for these to be exactly like Fly Super Lace clones, but they did look pretty close to it in the photo. So that caught my eye, I clicked on it, saw the photo of it, and the shape resembled it. Obviously, it has like kind of a copycat X stitching pattern on the back, although it doesn't take up the entire back of the wrist. But there are definitely some similarities there. So I said, to hell with it. Let me go ahead and order these and see what they look like when they come in the mail. These cost $70, so $69.99 plus $20 shipping. So a little over $90 from Pakistan DHL shipped to the United States. So keep that in mind later on when we discuss the cost with these gloves. So design-wise, when you look at them, obviously there's no logo on them because these are a generic glove. If I requested a logo, I'm sure they could have printed something on there, but I decided to go exactly with what the photo looked like. And when they came in the mail and I opened the box, they look similar to the photo, but it doesn't really resemble the Fly boxing gloves at all, other than just the copycat X pattern. Even then, that's not the complete wrist. This has definitely more of that generic eBay kind of one cookie cutter design boxing glove. This is not necessarily a bad thing. It's not a great thing either. It's just kind of right there in the middle of the road. So the good thing is the actual construction of it is 100% genuine leather, which I like. So they do use a cowhide leather that has kind of more of a matte finish to it. You can see it has double stitching with that cross pattern on the back of this flat cuff right there. Has about a 1/2 inch of padding on the back of the cuff. And you rotate to the palm side, you have about a 1/4 inch padding that goes up to right about here on the inside, on the thumb side of the wrist. Pretty nice long flat laces. Again, padding on this side up to this double stitching that's cut off right there. Inside, nice smooth tricot liner, which is really nice. Gold piping around the thumb as well as on the wrist section right there. Medium-sized grip bar that I wish went all the way down. Ventilated holes on the fingertip compartment as well as on the thumb. And you also have more of a dense style multi-layer foam padding. The good thing is it's not molded foam, which I'm not a fan of at all, but this is definitely more on the dense side. So good for protective bag work or even for sparring. It's not super rock solid to where you feel like there's like a piece of EVA in there or a rubber mat. This one definitely has more of a denser feel to it. And then to the actual gold. Now this gold, like I showed you guys earlier, actually feels like it's some kind of like foil plastic material, which I wish it was leather as well, and just they made it gold metallic. So I'm not a fan of that just because it feels just super cheap. I'm not a fan of that. It just feels super cheap and plasticky. And they use that same material for the thumb and for the piping around the palm side that goes down to the cuff. Now the quality of the gloves are solid. Obviously, I think the best part about these gloves is going to be the fact that it's not synthetic, that they use leather. But the price point of $95 shipped to your door, you know, being full leather is definitely a benefit. The big thing I would say is just it smells the attention to detail, especially with the stitching, like the areas right there where you can see the stitching pull through the leather. The symmetry of the stitching is actually pretty good. You can see that they follow the lines real well where the attached thumb is, as well as the grip bar, but you can also see that they left on both gloves some excess that's kind of like pulling out from one side to the other. So you can see the stitching is kind of pulling right there, pulling through. So that's definitely a quality control issue. And then this plastic gold material, you can see it started kind of peeling, and that was even before I started using it. And then it also has some marking there. That black scuff is actually for me, so that's not on them. You can see obviously being white, it gets dirty pretty quickly. So there's a little bit of staining right there from just being used. But I would say just the attention to detail with the stitching right here is a little crooked. Right there, you have the cross pattern that actually looks pretty solid. The 14-ounce weight tag. The liner is nice. You can see that it has that nice smooth tricot liner, which is really good. They did a good job of trimming the piping on the cuff as well as on the inside of the glove. And the weight distribution of the glove is actually pretty good. I think they, put enough padding throughout the midsection of the glove as well towards the back of the cuff, so that the glove doesn't feel too top heavy. So it's pretty well balanced. It doesn't feel like it's too top heavy or bottom heavy as far as the weight distribution. Now the comfort of the glove, sliding your hand in here. I'd say that the room of the glove in the inside of the hand compartment is a good size. I'd say it's right about medium. It's not large, and it's not super snug fitting. So for a 14-ounce glove, I feel like they're actually really nice as far as accommodating my hand size with hand wraps on. If you have larger hands, I still think 14 ounce will fit you pretty well, but even then, if you go up to 16, that's another option. Being that they're a Pakistan company on eBay, they can literally do anything if you want them to. You just ask them for that. But the hand compartment feels really good. I mean, even the thumb piping doesn't cut any circulation off to my thumb right there. The width and the wrist support feels pretty solid. The grip bar feels really good placement there. I do wish that the finger compartment was a little bit deeper. I like the fact that they use a piece of neoprene on the fingertip compartment. I just don't feel like there's enough depth for me to be able to really roll my fingers up underneath and form a really nice tight fist. I feel like that could be done a little bit better and deeper. Thumb feels really good in parallel. It doesn't feel like it jams at the top. So overall, it feels really good. I mean, the liner feels really nice and smooth, doesn't bunch up. So comfort's definitely there. Thumb feels good. Just wish the finger compartment was a little bit deeper there. Now, protection and performance, again, they use a firmer multi-layer foam padding, which I think they may have been using. I don't know if it's necessarily a cheaper open or closed cell foam, but one thing I noticed when I was doing bag work with these gloves is that I felt like it had kind of almost like a hollow vibration feel. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but I would land some pretty good shots, and it's almost like the foam feels kind of cheap on the inside. Dense, just, I don't get the right amount of feedback from these gloves. They do a decent job of absorbing shock, but there's just really no feedback from this foam. And it feels like, again, it has kind of like a hollow vibrating feel. Even when I was doing the mitts with these, and I would notice that compared to some other gloves where you get a nice solid landing feeling with the gloves. With these, I didn't really get that. They do a pretty good job of absorbing the shock. It's just the feedback really isn't there for me. And you don't get that much of a crack out of the layer of foam that they use in this. So good on protection, not so much on feedback, and has kind of a little bit of a hollow vibration feel to it when you're landing your shots with these gloves. So I'm not too sure what kind of foam that they use in this. Maybe I'm kind of inclined to maybe cut these gloves open later on when I break them down a little bit more to see what they have inside these eBay gloves. But yeah, performance is okay. I would give it a decent rating in terms of performance. Cost-wise, these gloves, again, are $70 plus $20 shipping through DHL, so looking at here over $90 shipped. To me, isn't worth it, especially there's so many gloves in that price point at the $100 range that have better craftsmanship than this. I mean, you don't have like loose stitching coming through right here and little gashes on the thumb like that. You know, little quality control issues that you shouldn't have to be worried about, especially for a glove that's around $100. So for a glove that's a hair over $90, I really don't think it's worth it, especially considering there's a lot of other gloves out there in that similar price range that have better quality control and just a better performing glove than these. So if I were to do it all over again, would I purchase these gloves? For the sake of the review, yeah, I would, but for my own personal use, I wouldn't. So if you guys have any questions or comments, make sure you guys leave them down below in the comments box. I'll put the link in the description box where you can find these eBay boxing gloves. See you guys next time. Peace.